peek into how another culture is grappling with this whole metaverse thing.
Welcome to InterchainMe, hosted by Roberto Capodieci, as we bridge the worlds of new and old technologies, meet incredible individuals, and delve into past visions of the future. Between technology and life with Roberto Capodieci on InterchainMe. You're now listening to
Perspectives on the Metaverse.
Hey everyone, and welcome. We've got something special lined up for you today. We're going to give you a sneak peek into the future.
A sneak peek? Sounds intriguing.
It is, trust me. We're diving into a brand new platform. It's actually launching January 2025, called InterchainMe.
InterchainMe. Okay, I'm listening.
And the mastermind behind it is Roberto Capodieci.
Now that's a name I've heard before.
He's a big deal in the world of blockchain and decentralization. Yeah. I mean, really a veteran.
Yeah. Senior blockchain architect, chief blockchain officer at Jada AI.
Don't forget, chief technology officer at Simfly.
Right. The guy's basically a blockchain encyclopedia. Been in this world since, what, 2010?
At least. And he doesn't just, live in the tech. He's got this passion for making it understandable.
Yeah.
Showing everyone how these ideas connect to our lives.
Makes sense. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of jargon, right?
Exactly. And that's where InterchainMe comes in.
So what is it? Like a website?
It's going to be a hub for all kinds of content. Podcasts, videos, articles, all focused on blockchain, decentralized systems, emerging technologies.
Sounds ambitious. Sort of a one-stop shop for understanding how all this tech is changing the world, huh?
You got it. Okay, so let's get into some specifics.
Yeah, let's hear about what Roberto has in store for us.
One series that really caught my attention is Perspectives on the Metaverse.
The Metaverse. Everyone's talking about it, but what's Roberto's take?
Well, here's the really cool part. This series is based on an existing podcast he's been doing. But get this, it's in Italian.
Wow, in Italian. So he's been exploring these ideas for a while then, ahead of the curve.
Exactly. Always thinking globally, getting those diverse perspectives.
Okay, so tell me more about this Metaverse series. What does it cover?
It really dives into how the Metaverse could reshape everything. Work, relationships, how we interact with technology, even just the nature of reality itself.
It's more than just strapping on a headset and playing games, right?
Oh yeah, way more. We're talking about a fundamental shift. How we connect with each other, how we experience the world.
That's some heavy stuff. Does he get into the philosophical side of things too?
Big time. Questions like, what happens to our sense of self in a digital world? How do we build these spaces so they're fair and inclusive? What about privacy and ownership in a virtual environment?
Those are the big questions. And this is what I like about Roberto, He's not just talking about the how, he's getting into the why and the what if.
Right. What does it mean for us as individuals, as a society? And remember, this isn't just theoretical. He's already been exploring these ideas in his Italian podcast.
A whole archive of insights ready to be shared. Now, whether they translate the entire series or just select episodes for InterchainMe, the core ideas are going to be timeless, relevant to anyone who's curious about the future.
It's like getting a glimpse into a future that someone's already living in.
Now, the Metaverse is just one piece of the puzzle. Roberto has a bunch of other series planned, like Cool Smart People, where he interviews thought leaders from all sorts of fields.
It's not your typical interview format, though. He really gets these folks to open up. Their journeys, challenges, their vision for the future.
The human stories behind the tech. I like it.
And he's not afraid to tackle tough issues. He has a series called Decentralizing AI, which, that's pretty crucial as AI becomes more and more powerful.
Absolutely. Making sure its development is transparent, accessible, benefits everyone, not just a select few.
Clearly, Roberto isn't afraid to challenge the status quo. Ask the hard questions. That's what's so exciting about InterchainMe. It's not just following the trends, it's pushing boundaries, exploring what's possible at the intersection of tech in our lives.
Sounds like they're trying to build a community, too.
Oh, definitely. They're putting out a call for guest speakers for all these series. So anyone listening who's an expert or just has a unique perspective to share, reach out. You could be part of this groundbreaking platform.
It's about collaboration, right? Having a conversation, especially when we're talking about technologies that could completely change the world.
Couldn't agree more. So before we dive even deeper into perspectives on the metaverse, what jumps out at you about Roberto's approach? Why do you think this platform has the potential to be something special?
It's the combination, right? Deep technical knowledge, but also that desire to make these topics accessible. He's not just talking to the tech elite, he's talking to all of us.
Exactly. It's not about dumbing things down, it's about building a bridge. between this complex tech world and the everyday lives of people who are going to be impacted by it.
That's key. And in a world where tech is evolving so fast, it's invaluable to have someone who can cut through the noise and help us understand the real implications.
Absolutely. Okay, let's zoom in on perspectives on the metaverse.
Yeah.
Why is this series particularly important as we head into this new era of digital life?
You know what I find really intriguing about perspectives on the metaverse? It's not starting from scratch. Roberta has been doing this series in Italian for a while now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We get to tap into a conversation that's already been going on.
Exactly. It's like we're getting a sneak peek into how another culture is grappling with this whole metaverse thing.
And who knows, maybe they'll translate the whole series for InterchainMe.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Right. But even if they don't, I bet the core themes are pretty universal.
Oh, absolutely. We're all trying to figure out what it means to exist in these virtual spaces, how it's going to affect our lives, what happens when the lines between real and virtual start to blur.
Exactly. Big questions. So, for someone who's hearing about the metaverse for the first time, how would you sum it up based on what we know from Roberto's series?
It's a good question. Well, imagine a world where you can do almost anything without leaving your home. Work, shop, hang out with friends, go to concerts, all in this virtual space.
Like a whole other reality.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about putting on a VR headset and playing games.
Right. It's about creating a whole society online. A digital version of our world, in a way.
And that's where the philosophical stuff comes in. Like, how does this change how we see ourselves? How do we build these spaces so they're fair for everyone?
Lots to consider. Does Roberto address any of the potential risks of the metaverse? It can't all be sunshine and roses, right?
Well, he definitely does.
Yeah.
He talks about things like addiction, and the potential for isolation. And even manipulation, because these spaces are going to be designed by someone, right?
Right. It's not like some neutral utopia just appearing out of thin air. So he's giving us a balanced view, not just hyping it up, but looking at the downsides too.
Exactly. It's like, hey, here's this amazing tool, but let's be smart about how we use it.
I like that. Makes me think, did anyone really predict how much the internet would change our lives? Maybe we're underestimating the metaverse too.
That's a great point. Maybe we are. Yeah. And that's why these conversations are so important. We need to start thinking about these things now before it's too late.
Before it just kind of happens to us, yeah. It sounds like Roberto's series is all about getting ahead of the curve, helping us understand what's possible so we can make informed choices.
Totally. It's like he's saying, don't just be a passive consumer of technology. Be a participant. Shape it,
I dig it. Now, switching gears a bit, I find Roberto's background in decentralized AI really interesting. It doesn't get as much hype as the metaverse, but it's just as important.
Oh yeah, for sure. So can you break that down for our listeners? What is decentralized AI? Why should we care?
Imagine AI that isn't controlled by a few big companies, but by a whole network, accessible to everyone. That's the idea.
Democratizing AI, making it a tool for the many, not just the few.
Exactly. And Roberto's not just talking about it, he's actually building real-world projects that show how it works, the practical applications.
It's interesting to think about how this ties back into the metaverse, too. Because as we create these immersive digital worlds, AI is going to play a huge role.
Huge. I mean, it'll be creating avatars, building environments, even managing how we interact with each other.
Right. And who controls that AI? How's it developed? What values are built into it? Those are some serious questions.
Big questions, and it sounds like Roberto is tackling them head on.
Yeah. It's almost like he's laying the groundwork for a future where we're not just living in the metaverse, we're shaping it, using tools like decentralized AI to make sure it reflects our values.
Powerful stuff. And it all comes back to InterchainMe's mission, doesn't it? Empowering people to be a part of this tech revolution, not just bystanders.
So before we move on, I gotta ask, what would you say to someone who's still not sure if this whole metaverse thing is relevant to them?
I'd say whether you're a techie or not, the metaverse is coming. It's not a question of if, it's when. And Roberto's series is like a guidebook, It helps you understand what's coming so you can make your own choices about how you want to be a part of it.
That's like we're living in a sci-fi movie, right? All those futuristic worlds with virtual reality that we used to imagine, it's happening.
It's wild, isn't it? And those stories, they weren't just entertainment, were they? Sort of like cautionary tales, too, about what could go wrong.
Totally. Showing us both the amazing possibilities and the potential downsides of tech.
Like, remember all those anxieties about becoming too reliant on technology? Or losing control? those were real fears, you know?
Right. And maybe those fears can teach us something about how to approach the metaverse.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of just being swept along for the ride, we can learn from those past predictions. Think about what we want to avoid.
So how do we make sure the metaverse benefits everyone, not just a select few?
Well, that's where having these conversations is so important. Thinking about the ethics, you know? Designing the metaverse in a way that reflects our values.
And that's what I like about Roberto's approach. He's not shying away from the tough questions. He's really making us think critically about the metaverse.
It's like he's saying, hey, let's be intentional about this. Let's not just stumble into the future without thinking about the consequences.
And that's the whole point of InterchainMe, right? To get people talking, get them engaged, not just absorbing information, but actively shaping the future of tech.
It's a platform for people who want to be part of the solution, not just the audience.
Well said. Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into InterchainMe and perspectives on the metaverse, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. The future is in our hands.
It's true. It's up to each of us to engage with this technology in a thoughtful way. Ask questions, make choices that align with our values.
Be informed, be engaged, be a part of the conversation that's going to shape the metaverse. And remember, InterchainMe launches in January 2025.
Mark your calendars, folks. If you're interested in any of this stuff, that's the place to be.
And if you're an expert, or you just have a unique perspective to share,
reach out. They're looking for guest speakers.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into InterchainMe.
It's been fun.
Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.
Roberto Capodieci on InterchainMe.